This was in mid-November of last year. I had just gotten laid off due to budget cutting at the office.
Hey, you better file for unemployment. Hey, you see what I got the unemployment shirt on.
Luckily, I had some money saved up to cover for me while I searched for a new job. For several weeks, I was stuck at home, just looking through lists of job openings on my laptop. After the first 2 weeks, though, I started to get a bit impatient. I applied to pretty much every position I was interested in.
Shoot, try YouTube, you know? Who knows, what can happen for you? You can be, try it. Who knows? Try social media. Who knows?
And I hadn't gotten a single response. I ended up trying to look on different websites from the usual ones. One of them I had a bit more luck on, finding a few new ones to apply to, and later in the day I finally got an email from one of them. The manager introduced himself as Zach, and in the email he said his schedule was pretty packed, but he wanted to get an interview with me that night if possible. I wasn't fully prepared, nor did I feel comfortable enough to ask why it had to be tonight, but I definitely...
What? Bro, first of all, you should have knew it was skeptical. What interview do you potentially get at night, scheduled at night? Come on, sis, you got to be smarter than that. You got to unlock a more a more precise discernment ability. There's no way you thought this was a real job at night. Every job application I filled out, they tried to get me like in the morning-ish, or in the afternoon, Nothing past the afternoon really like that. Like, I think I had like a couple, like maybe towards like 3-ish. But come on. At night? Come on.
Definitely didn't want to let this slip by without trying. I thought showing up on short notice...
It was a desperate... She was desperate, bruh. She was desperate. I know how that feel.
...would be a good way to show my commitment. The job was just some regular sales job.
You gotta put your faith in God, man. That's why, though.
From the looks of it, but the pay was worth it. I agreed to the interview.
See, all money ain't good money, though.
And Zach sent me the address and said to be there at 7:30. I got ready and headed over, arriving 15 minutes early. I didn't have any time to research the place or anything, so I wasn't all too sure what to expect. The place it had me pull into was the parking lot of a small building. It wasn't obvious from the outside what the building was for. It only had an address number on it. I mean, I assumed it was just an office, because it was a sales job, but it was hard to say because all the lights were off. The parking lot was also empty.
I'll be so honest, bro. If I was driving, bro, I would just turn right back around, bro. How do I pull up to a job application and there's no cars parked where I'm supposed to be working at? Sister, you have to use your discernment skills.
Something felt wrong. I checked the address again and looked it up, and it came back to the same spot. The building had no name on Google either. I called the phone number attached to the email that Zach sent me. He didn't pick up. I called a couple more times and still got no answer. I waited until 15 minutes past the scheduled time, then decided to leave. Dark, empty building with nobody in the parking lot, and getting no reply from the interviewer. The whole thing felt sketchy, and in hindsight, I should have been more aware to the possibility. I drove home. I was upset about the waste of time, but overall, I just wanted to move past it. I told myself I'd stick with the...
Her tires, messed up. Wait, she's still in the car?
...regular job search websites, and would continue the search in the morning. I wasn't sure if Zach gave me the wrong address on accident, or what really happened, but I didn't waste more of my time thinking about it. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the couch, cracking it open and turning on the
Maybe the dude followed her home.
TV. With no job, I had no bedtime, so I pretty much just chilled on the couch until I felt sleepy. Throughout the hours, though, I kept hearing something upstairs, just like a creak in the ceiling. I checked out the window a couple of times to see if it was windy outside, but it wasn't at all. The creaking didn't concern me really. It didn't sound abnormal by any means. I think I got tired around 10 p.m. I shut off the TV and the downstairs lights, then walked upstairs to the bedroom. The last thing I remember was getting in bed and laying down, falling asleep really quickly, before suddenly I was awake again. My eyes were opened to the pitch black room. As I laid there, I heard that same creak sound
Ray, though.
that I'd been hearing. It was close to me, like somewhere on the other side of the room.
Hold on, y'all. My pop's calling me. My pop's calling. Yo. Hello? Yes, accidentally called me. I don't know.
I looked over with my tired eyes, barely seeing anything in the dark. But then there was the slow and quiet sound that I recognized as the closet sliding open. My eyes opened a little more, seeing just the outline of the closet door slowly opening. I felt almost like I was frozen, just stuck in place, unable to move as I watched this happen. My mind wasn't fully convinced this was even real. It wasn't until the closet stopped moving and a figure leaned out from behind it that my body jerked out of the frozen state I was in. I grabbed my phone and jumped out of bed, opposite to the side the closet was on. The figure didn't move though. They just stood still and stared at me, almost like they were hoping I somehow didn't see them. Standing up though, and with my eyes adjusted, I was 100% sure what I was seeing was real. I ran out of the room and left my house as I spoke to a 911 operator. It was probably dumb of me, but I stood in my front yard and watched through my front door at the staircase.
Hold on,
I didn't want whoever was in there to leave without getting caught. Obviously, they could have been dangerous and armed, so it wasn't the smartest decision. A few minutes later, 2 cops showed up. I never saw anyone come down the stairs, so I told them where I last saw the guy. They went in and found him still hiding in the closet.
He probably homeless.
When they pulled him out and dragged him into the car, I couldn't believe how disturbing this guy looked. Oily, long and messy hair, disgusting clothes, and these wide, unfriendly eyes. He didn't say a single word as to what he was doing, but it only took a couple days to get the whole story. He had made these fake job listings on multiple sites. There were actually hundreds of fake listings he made, all for different types of jobs. Disturbingly,
but what was the reasoning behind why he created it though?
he had all my info from the resume I sent in, and he knew exactly when I'd leave my house for the interview, so he broke in while I was gone. That whole night,
That's low-key genius. But who's gonna go for something like an interview at 7:30?
he was in my home with me, and just a couple feet away while I was sleeping. However, we still never got an answer as to what he was planning to do. Without him outright saying it, there's no way for me to ever know what was going to happen that night.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap the story 2 up, man, but this was kind of a avoidable one. You could have most definitely avoided this, right? No one sets job interviews at 7:30 p.m. Come on. You gotta unlock some new discernment skills.